Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm Office Blood Daz.
I'm Gaynor.
Office Blood Aidan.
Here we are, three of us.
Yeah.
Today, Patreon's your thing. Check out the link in the description below. Loads and loads of stuff on there. Starts just $3 a month, helps support the channel, and you'll find something pretty much every day, and you won't be disappointed, I guarantee it. Check it out. Route 66. I've got a mate who keeps asking me, do I want to do Route 66 with him? And it's not something that appeals to me.
No.
Why not?
I think it's more of like a motorcycle sort of like journey, isn't it? A lot of people want to do it on bikes or in an RV or in a convertible, something like that. I just have no real. I just want to go to a certain place. So I think, does it start in Chicago now?
I don't know.
I actually don't really know the route. I don't think.
Didn't it used to run coast to coast or something?
Yeah.
That's in my mind.
That's what I thought. I thought it was just the road that went through the country.
Yeah, I don't think it does anymore though. That's the thing. I think it runs from Chicago to the west coast. But I'm not. I guess this might sort of like clarify that. I might be wrong with that. But it just doesn't appeal to me to just drive.
I think it's one of them with like loads of like popular like bars and restaurants like on the way.
It could be, but there's other things I'd want to do in the USA first.
Yeah.
And just do like a road trip across country.
They seem to be like on cliff edges and stuff like that.
I don't know. Should we get into it and find out?
Yeah.
I guess you go through mountains and stuff, and it's probably very scenic, the route. Let's go.
What if I told you there's a highway so famous,
Like
it has
that.
its own
Yeah.
songs, movies, and fan clubs, and it hasn't even officially existed since 1985? From Chicago.
Really?
Yeah, but we've got a cricketer that plays over here called Joe Root, and what he plays number 66. So on the back of his shirt, he says Route 66.
Oh, really?
Pretty good, that,
I
isn't
didn't
it?
know that.
Yeah.
Chicago's bustle to the laid-back vibes of Santa Monica. This legendary ribbon of highway carried dust-covered migrants, Elvis-loving tourists, and Corvette-driving dreamers alike. So, how did a decommissioned highway become more famous than the one still on the map? And what really made it the main street of America? Was it the quirky roadside motels? The ghost towns? Buckle up. This journey's just beginning. Welcome to US Route 66, the most legendary stretch of asphalt in America. It was officially established in 1926, becoming one of the original highways in the US numbered highway system. Its design was clever. It zigzagged through small towns, instead of skirting around them, pumping money and opportunity directly into rural America. In the early 1900s, the US had roads, but no real system. In 1925, the U.S. government finally rolled out a plan for a nationwide highway infrastructure. The mastermind behind this genius? Cyrus Avery, dubbed the father of Route 66. He pushed for a route that favored connection over convenience. Avery originally proposed calling this Grand Highway U.S. Route 60, believing a round number gave it weight and importance. But Kentucky delegates had their own plans. Eventually, a compromise was struck, and the number 66 was chosen, as it was catchy, easy to say, and memorable. The route stretched 2,448 miles and passed through 8 states: Illinois, Missouri, Kansas, Oklahoma, Texas, New Mexico, Arizona, and California. Each state added its own flavor, from the jazz clubs of St. Louis to the adobe pueblos of New Mexico, and finally the palm-lined boulevards of Southern California.
I guess if you called it Route 60, the songs about it and all that, and get your kicks on Route 60.
You don't get that. You don't know the song.
They probably would have just changed the lyrics. Right?
The highway quickly became a popular route because of the active promotion of the US 66 Highway Association, which advertised it as the shortest, best, and most scenic route from Chicago through St. Louis to Los Angeles. Over the years, US 66 received numerous nicknames. Right after US 66 was commissioned, it was known as the Great Diagonal Way, because the Chicago to Oklahoma City stretch ran northeast to southwest. Later, US 66 was advertised by the US Highway 66 Association as the Main Street of America.
That's a good name.
In the John Steinbeck novel, The Grapes of Wrath, the highway is called the Mother Road. Lastly, US 66 was unofficially named the Will Rogers Highway in honor of the beloved humorist and actor. Of course, a name is just the beginning. What really mattered was how the road served the people. traffic increased on the highway due to the geography it traversed. Much of the road was essentially flat, making it a popular route for trucks. Despite being commissioned in 1926, Route 66 wasn't fully paved until 1938. For more than a decade, much of it was dirt or gravel, especially in the rugged Southwest.
What I want to know is, why is it called Route 66 and yet they say route? Why is it not Route 66?
A lot of people say route, don't they? It's like
Yeah, that's true, that.
tomato type thing, isn't it? I don't know, but a lot of people, he says the route and then calls it Route 66, doesn't he?
Yeah.
That reliable stretch of road soon played a much bigger role. During the 1930s Dust Bowl disaster, Route 66 became the escape valve of the Midwest. Over 200,000 people, mostly from Oklahoma, Arkansas, and Texas, used it to flee their dying farms and head west toward California's fruit orchards and promise. From desperate journeys to joyful road trips, Route 66 underwent a remarkable transformation. In 1928, the U.S. Highway 66 Association staged a publicity stunt so wild it could only happen in the U.S. A transcontinental foot race from Los Angeles to New York. The portion from L.A. to Chicago followed Route 66, which by the 1930s was branded as the best way to see the real United States. Dubbed the Bunan Derby, the 3,423-mile race drew immense public attention. Andy Hartley Payne, a young Cherokee man from Oklahoma, won the race after 84 grueling days.
Jesus.
His prize? $25,000, worth nearly $458,000 today. The event made headlines across the nation and brought Route 66 into the American imagination. In 1932, Route 66 reached the big leagues. An ad in the Saturday Evening Post urged Americans to take the highway to the Summer Olympics in Los Angeles. This wasn't just an ad campaign. It was the beginning of American road trip culture. Along the way, travelers found not just gas stations and diners, but quirky roadside attractions, motels with neon signs, and trading posts offering hand-woven blankets and silver jewelry. World War II caused a marked decline in civilian and tourist traffic, but it stimulated new business along US 66 when it acted as a military transport corridor, moving troops and supplies from one military reservation to another. Motels saw an increase in occupancy as families of servicemen stationed at military bases stayed for long stretches. But more significantly, Route 66 facilitated perhaps the single greatest wartime mobilization, as thousands of job seekers headed to California, Oregon, and Washington to work in defense plants. In the post-World War II boom, Route 66 entered its golden age. Veterans returned home, bought cars, and hit the road with their families. Post-war America fell in love with convertibles, roadside motels, and the open sky. The American road trip was born, and Route 66 was its cradle. Automobile ownership grew dramatically over the next 10 years, with 52.1 million cars registered in 1955, compared to the 25.8 million at the end of the war. With more cars and leisure time,
the other side of it as well is when you're talking about cruising in the USA and driving, travelling around in the USA, we've done quite a lot of travelling in the USA where we drove for days and days, we relocated New Jersey to Houston, we drove that sort of thing. But you don't sort of like, when people say I'm going to cruise Route 66, you don't say cruise I-95, do you? You know what I mean? Down the eastern seaboard all the way down to Florida from New York, you know what I mean? You say I'm driving to Florida.
Yeah.
No, you don't. It's got a tone to it, hasn't it, Route 66?
Yeah.
It's got a bit of an aura about it.
families headed west on Route 66 to the Grand Canyon, Disneyland, and the beaches of Southern California. In the 1950s, US 66 became the main highway for vacationers heading to Los Angeles. The road passed through the Painted Desert. Meteor Crater in Arizona was another popular stop. This sharp increase in tourism, in turn, gave rise to a burgeoning trade in all manner of roadside attractions, including teepee-shaped motels, frozen custard stands, Indian curio shops, and reptile farms. It also marked the birth of the fast food industry. Red's Giant Hamburger in Springfield, Missouri, was the site of the first drive-through restaurant, and the
Wow.
first McDonald's opened in San Bernardino, California. Gas stations became community hubs. You didn't just fill up your tank. You chatted with locals, got your windshield cleaned, and maybe even shared a milkshake at the soda fountain next door. Route 66 became the coolest highway on Earth. Bobby Troupe's song Get Your Kicks on Route 66 was recorded by Nat King Cole in 1946 and later covered by everyone from Chuck Berry to the Rolling Stones. The 1960s TV show Route 66 followed two guys in a Corvette exploring moral dilemmas across America. Paul McCartney made a memorable stop at the Blue Whale in Catoosa, Oklahoma. Pixar's Cars 2006 introduced Route 66 to a new generation, with Radiator Springs symbolizing the loss and revival of small-town America. Today, Route 66 is one of the most famous roads in the world. Tourists from Germany, Japan, Brazil, and France
I think it is the
flock
most
to
famous.
drive
Yeah,
it.
I do.
Harley-Davidson tours ride from Chicago to LA like modern cowboys. Why? Because no road anywhere else quite captures the romance of the American dream like this one.
It does, but you've also, when people talk about roads or boulevards and stuff, you've got Santa Monica Boulevard and Rodeo Drive,
Yeah.
places like in California and LA. But I think this is, because it's so vast, I think it still has that like little bit of like culture, more of American culture sort of like behind it.
Yes.
Because you're going through small town
Yeah, I was
USA.
gonna say you're
like
going
you
through
said.
different areas
Yeah,
that are all,
yeah.
you know.
There are more than 250 buildings, bridges,
Fifth Avenue
road
is the one I
alignments,
should have mentioned.
and other sites along Route 66 that are listed on the National Register of Historic Places. Route 66 is a living slice of Americana, packed with quirky stops and nostalgic charm. You can spray your name on the ever-changing Cadillacs at Cadillac Ranch in Texas, or spend the night in a concrete teepee at the iconic Wigwam Motel in Arizona. Don't miss the Gemini Giant in Illinois, a retro space guardian off the road. And of course, end, or begin, your adventure at the Santa Monica Pier, where the ocean breeze meets the historic end of the trail sign. While Route 66 captured the heart of a generation, the heartbeats began to slow in the mid-20th century. The beginning of the decline for US 66 came in 1956, with the signing of the Interstate Highway Act by President Dwight D. Eisenhower, who was influenced by his experiences in 1919 as a young Army officer crossing the country in a truck convoy, following the route of the Lincoln Highway, and his appreciation of the Autobahn network as a necessary component of a national defense system. The new interstate system was straighter, faster, and deadly efficient. I-40, I-44, I-55, and I-15 started replacing Route 66 section by section. As newer interstates replaced it, Route 66 began to fade in the 1980s. For many small towns, this was a death sentence. Traffic vanished. Businesses shuttered. By June 27, 1985, the route was officially decommissioned. Still, the spirit of Route 66 refused to fade. Across the country, people began to remember and reclaim what made it magical. Passionate
Shoot.
preservationists, travelers, and nostalgia lovers brought it back. Can you still drive the entire Route 66 today? Approximately 85% of the original route remains drivable, weaving through historic towns, vintage diners, and scenic landscapes. Though some segments have been overtaken by modern interstates, detours often lead to hidden gems and nostalgic experiences. You can still find rusted cars baking under the desert sun, broken neon signs buzzing in the wind, and empty diners where the jukebox has long stopped playing. It's a time capsule of forgotten dreams and fading Americana. Every year, thousands of tourists, many from abroad, drive it for the legend, the charm, the ghosts, and the hope of finding America as it once was. Several states, including Illinois, Missouri, Oklahoma, New Mexico, and Arizona, preserved their segments under the new name Historic Route 66. In the 2010s, yet another reinvention came rolling down the road. U.S. Bicycle Route 66, part of the growing U.S. bicycle route system. Cyclists now retrace the historic highway's path at a slower, more scenic pace, proving the road still welcomes wanderers. No gas
cycle.
required.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Route 66, once abandoned, is now lovingly patched with nostalgia and pride. From giant roadside dinosaurs to graffiti-covered Cadillacs, from ghost towns to gleaming convertibles, it proves that history doesn't have to be in a museum. It can roll on four wheels. Want more legends, offbeat adventures, and
Yeah, I think it's one of them. It's more of a, like you say, you can only drive 85% of it now.
Yeah.
I didn't realise it wasn't there anymore. I thought it was still a road.
One of my mates was asking me not long ago, and I was just like, I'm not sure. I'm not sure if it's for me. But looking at some of that, some of it
Yeah.
would be.
Yeah.
I like small town America. It's some little small town. We've done loads of small towns, and they're great to go to the little dive bar they have in there sometimes, and little diners and stuff like that. I just absolutely love that.
I think they should open it back up though, and put hotels and motels
Yeah, but
and.
it's probably not effective enough. It's the cost of it to go into it and all that.
I think a lot more people would do it if they did it up again
Yeah.
and put like little diners and stuff like that.
Like Interstate 40, you could rename it Route 66. I know it's not the historic one, but you
Yeah.
could still name it Route 66 and have the Interstate 66.
Yeah.
However, but it's whichever one it is. But I just think it's one of them. It's very appealing in portions of it, but I think the whole distance from Illinois to Santa Monica is just a
Bit
little
too
bit
far,
too much
that.
for me. Yeah.
Yeah. Especially on a push bike.
Won't be doing it on a push bike, put it that way. But it's I think it's just one of them things where it's very historical as far as the USA goes, and I think it's a major part of their culture and their
agree.
history. For what it is, and I think it does attract a lot of tourists to go over there. I don't know what the numbers are that go over there, but I know a lot of people do talk about it. And when you talk about historical roadways, Route 66 definitely one of the top ones without a doubt. But you never know. One day, maybe one day. Enjoyed watching about it though. It was good information.
Interesting,
Yeah. Hope you guys enjoyed it as well. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We'll see you on the next one.
Aye.
Cheers.